here. And muting. All right. Hello, everyone. Just a few minutes early here. I'm going to share it across the platforms here really quickly. I think I have to. Oh, it didn't send me out of Twitter, so that's good. And how's everyone doing this evening? You doing good? I wish it would let me share automatically to Instagram and Snapchat, but it doesn't. So hopefully in the future it will. I hope everyone's having a good Tuesday. I'm really excited about Taco Tuesdays. We still didn't eat tacos for dinner, so I hope someone else had tacos for dinner. Actual tacos, not tacos. If your tacos are talking to you, you might want to lay off the taco sauce. How you doing, Biznitch? Raja, let me go back and say hello to everyone one by one. First up, Bernadette Reeve, hello. Yeah, teeth was a little shocker. I kept seeing it in the lists and I kept seeing it on Netflix and I was like, what is this about? And when I first started watching, I'm like, oh, this is going to be one of those crappy movies. And it was unexpectedly good. Logan, hello. Autumn, hello. Let me scroll down. Kahlest, hello. Roger Hensley, hello. Biznitch, how you doing? Awesome. Well, we didn't have tacos either. We had burgers and baked potatoes, and I had mushrooms and stuff. So, or as my husband likes to call them, giant brown, soft, squishy boogers. But I love mushrooms. I'll eat like a portobello burger instead of meat. Hello, Brian Morrow, Tim Willis. Hello. Why does that name sound so familiar to me, Tim Willis? Doesn't that sound like someone? I don't know.
Willis, I know what you're talking about, Willis.
Yeah, that's what I immediately think of. Oh my God. Oh, Different Strokes. That's what I was thinking of. Different Strokes. I loved that show. I don't know. What was I thinking of today that I was going like, raise your hand if this has happened to you? Try to straighten up one area in my house today. I had a lot of caffeine today, so I'm just going to warn you all. I might talk a little fast here. I had like coffee, and then I made another coffee, and my coffees are like, what are those, like 24-ounce coffee cups? 24-ounce thermoses. And the second one I didn't drink, so I put it in the freezer. And then later I mixed it with a cappuccino packet. So instead of, like, you're supposed to add water because the cappuccino packet is supposed to mix with water and ice, and then it's like a frozen cappuccino. But instead of using water, I used coffee. It's kind of like putting Red Bull in your coffee maker. I don't know. I got a little bit achieved, but All right. I've found some interesting articles. I'm going to obviously skip over Annalise Mitchell. We're going to talk about possession and exorcisms. One at a time, of course. Annalise Mitchell. Has anyone seen the movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose? Never Stop Stirring? Yeah, I was actually stirring my tea. Did you guys hear that? I'm going to see if anybody saw The Exorcism of Emily Rose. The movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose was actually loosely based on Annalise. It was very graphic. There was actual recordings from that, and I actually experienced a haunting for a couple of years after I saw that movie in my home. Oh, there's my daughter texting me back. Just interrupt everything that we're doing. Hey, Creeper. It's like Law and Order, Demonic Possession Unit, and Squirrels. Okay, I didn't understand that text. Anyway, moving on. It's like Law and Order Demonic Unit. Okay. So sometime I'll get into that. Maybe I'll get into that. There's a couple different movies that I watched over the years, and they ironically, two of them had to do with possession, and they both had a very deep impact on my life. Was it psychosomatic? It could be. The first one happened, I was watching The Exorcist 2. Did you ever see that, honey? My husband's here too, by the way. So,
We laughed at the first Exorcist movie.
well, the first Exorcist movie is, what's her name? The main character's name is I'm drawing a blank.
Linda Blair is
I know who the actor is, but
the name of the girl was in the movie.
the character in the second one is going to this like psychic research center to see if maybe she has some abilities that are causing some of these things going on. And there's like they're testing her abilities, and there's one scene where she's staring at a door. I even wrote a creepypasta about it like 2 years ago. She's staring at a door, and like they're flashing back and forth between the pressure of her trying to make a door slam and like these roots from where the origin of her possession came from, like back and forth. Like I think were scenes cut from Africa. It was back and forth, and I was like 8 or 9, and I was home alone watching my little brother, who was 6 or 7, because we were alone a lot. Reagan, thank you. So Reagan went to this psychic center, and they're testing her, and it's flashing back and forth, back and forth. And I got more scared, and finally she made the door close. And that's when my parents came home and made me go to bed because I was up past my bedtime, which no one was home, so who cared? Who cares? And went to bed, and I made them keep my door open because I was so scared from the movie. And I literally laid in bed and stared at the door. And I literally looked at the door and said, "Don't close, don't close, don't close, don't close, don't close." And the door slammed shut, and I screamed bloody murder at the top of my lungs. And my parents swear it was because of the wind, but there's no way. And then The Exorcism of Emily Rose, I watched that when I lived by myself with my daughter in this house in the country. And for the longest time, yeah, I did start watching that, Roger Hensley. Have you watched the Exorcist TV series? It says. We did watch the first season. I don't know if you watched it with me though. It was pretty good. Is it still on? Hey, Element. So I watched The Exorcism of Emily Rose, and in that movie, each person that listened to the recording of the exorcism they were trying to perform on, which was Annalise, and it was supposedly the actual recordings of it. So each person that listened to it, something happened to them. It started happening to them at 3 a.m. They'd smell a burning smell, a light would come on in their kitchen, and then things would dramatically go downhill from there. And for 2 months, this would happen in my kitchen. Did you know that? For 2 months, this would happen in my kitchen. And I mean, I swore I would never watch it. It doesn't affect me now the way it did then. I'm much more careful about that, but you know, that's some people, like, you just think a movie's a movie, but some people like myself can feel different things come from it. So let's see. There's another season I never finished up, but it was good. Are they gonna have that show out again this year? Or is it done? What are the did it do 3 or 4 seasons? KSC Lilith. Hey, they did use clips of the trial recording and did a bunch of music. Oh my god. All my ghost encounters have happened at or real close to 3 a.m. Yeah, and those aren't the only occurrences, but those are the ones that felt very bad. Those are the ones that felt bad. And do I think that those movies caused that? No. But I think that sometimes spirit can use any means necessary to find a channel or like a crack to get into something. So no, you don't ever play with Ouija boards. We were in Spirit Halloween in our town. I got another set of tarot cards, and if you don't know about tarot cards, don't pick those up either. not the same connotations, but they can lead to the same thing because the spirit world isn't a game. I'm pretty serious about that. You're not new here, so you know that. But I did do like a little white light casting over the spirit boards and the all the Ouija board stuff. Like they have like pillows and candles, and I did like a white light casting over it. So those people are probably going to buy those and are not going to work. I hope they don't work, because anybody that bought them from there, they're just going to think they're a game and etc. So I don't know if that makes a difference or not. I think it does, and if maybe if it does work, it'll only be just boring, positive, nothing scary or crazy happening to them because of it. So, yeah. I have not decorated yet. You know, my husband knows. It's usually October 1st. The inside and outside of our house looks like a Halloween attraction, but it's been raining here nonstop for days. So I'm kind of bummed out about that. I'll get around to it. I don't know, though. I don't know. I recorded several videos today trying to get stuff set up in advance so that you guys have. Did I say something about Eden on my last stream? No, someone was asking me if I listened to her, and I said I didn't think that that she made videos anymore. I haven't seen anything from her. Why? I decorated on Sunday already. Yeah. I gotta get all my stuff out. Usually my whole front yard is covered in stuff and just, I don't know. My focus is more on getting content out, and I'm kind of like organizing different areas of my house right now. So that's kind of what my mind's been on. So it's not even on purpose. It's just, yeah. Waiting for Element to respond to that. But tonight we're talking about exorcism and possessions. Just in case anyone doesn't know that. I love rain too, but I mean, we spent like 50% of our summer was drought and dry, crunchy grass, and now we're like getting flooded out. So, oh, she's the only other YouTuber you follow? Are you serious? Oh, you mean on like social media, or you mean on YouTube in general? Warm rain. Warm rain is nice. Even when we rented, we still did that. We still decorated our patio and stuff. But I've got, I'm going to start with, let's see. I had one of exorcisms, and I don't know. I'm going to look for it just a second here. I have a bunch of articles on exorcism. And I had something on, I have a bunch of articles on possession, but I had at least 2 for exorcisms, and now I'm wondering what happened to it. Okay, nope, I've got it. All right, so we're going to start with possession stories, and then we will go. And I even found something about some man that people refer to. So, okay, yeah, Element. That's what I thought. I know that she used to do like a lot of Friday night live reads. But anyways, do I ever go to? You know what's sad is I live in Michigan, and I rarely have went to the lakes. And what's funny is, not only do we live in a state surrounded by water, but in the city we live, how many lakes do we have here? Just in this city, we have about 10 lakes in this, and in the county, we have like 20. So there's, hey. All right. Thank you for stopping in, Team Chaos.
Chair broke.
Oh, you were putting your foot on that bar. That's why. Yeah. Wow. The chair my husband was sitting in broke.
Haunted.
It's haunted. The chair is haunted. All right. Let's get into it. This is called 11 Real Life Cases of Gut-Wrenching Possessions That'll Shock the Daylights Out of You. Mind you, if it's something we've all heard 1,000 times, I'm skipping it. First example being Annalise, but that's not the number one. The first one is, and you guys can comment if you've heard of any of these before. First up is Clara Germana Sell, a student at St. Michael's Mission in South Africa. Sell, who confessed to making a pact with Satan, was recognized as possessed in 1906 for showing unnatural impulses. She was reported to levitate up to 5 feet and make peculiar, inhuman cacophonies. Her exorcism was witnessed by over 170 people, where she knocked out Bibles, behaved wildly, and tried to strangle a priest with his own stole. The 2 days' hysteria ended with her levitating before descending still. Wow, I've never heard of that. So I accidentally found a good one, I guess. Number 2, Julia. A case documented in 2008 by Dr. Richard E. Gallagher, a psychiatrist in New York, chronicles the story of his patient who he deemed to be possessed after seeing objects floating in the air, her clairvoyance about surrounding people, hateful rants, and periodic levitation. During her exorcisms, the room apparently became excruciatingly hot while she vehemently repulsed holy water. Upon waking up from these trances, she would have no memory of what went down. Yeah. Again, I'm going to go back and check the chat. An hour and a half at the most. So, yeah, not going to.
An hour and a half or 2 days.
Shh. Don't listen to him. Anyways, number 3, George Lukens, an English tailor. George, in late the 1700s, indulged in erratic behavior wherein he sang and spoke in spooky voices and strange languages after claiming to be possessed. Doctors surrendered and he went his own way, only to get more hostile and animalistic in nature for years to come. The self-claimed devil's exorcism called for a gathering of 7 priests, and the madness ended with him praising the Lord and accrediting the priests. Wow. That's crazy. I heard about this school somewhere where there was a mass possession. I've heard of that too. All right. Roland Doe. Oh, so he was, yeah, and he's the one who inspired The Exorcist, actually, and Possessed. So the story of this man is hauntingly tragic. He was 14. The actual name that inspired The Exorcist and Possessed, Roland Doe. It says Roland Doe / Robbie Mannheim, so he must have changed his name later, but his actual name was Roland Edwin Hunkler, had a tryst with demonic possession in an attempt to contact his dead aunt using a Ouija board. See? No Ouija boards. No. With mysterious scratches on the skin, flying religious artifacts, guttural splutters, body contortion, and levitation, he was subjected to 30 exorcisms or even injured the priests. The final exorcism involved feral anguish and sulfuric odor looming in the air. Whoa. My ears just started ringing. Coincidence? Oh, hey, Schmeister. Dang. Sounds like my toddler. You got that right. Wait till they're a teenager. Yeah, you don't know nothing yet. Drop by to say hello. Can't hang around since it's my dad's B-day. Opposite. Oh, no. All right. Thank you, Schmeister, for coming in. He inspired the Haunting in Connecticut movie, too. Oh, wow. Oh, yes. Condolences. I'm sorry, Schmeister. I didn't quite... My head didn't wrap around that. I'm really sorry. So hopefully I have something that will entertain and distract you later. Have a good night. Okay. Roland Doe's name of the church gave him. Okay. All right. We are moving on to Arne Cheyenne Johnson. Marked in history for being the first person to plead innocent on account of demonic possession, Arne's case is well known as the demon murder trial. I don't know about you, but I don't know any case about the demon murder trial. Do you? Okay. His trial involved strange claims by people in his vicinity, such as the presence of an apparition with demonic eyes and beastly features. He was in for stabbing his landlord while growling infernally and got convicted, serving a sentence of 5 years for a typical 10 to 20 years crime. That's weird. Number 6, Anna Eklund. The grotesque story of this 14-year-old girl born in 1882 is infamous as the Erling possession. Cursed by the witchcraft practiced by her father and aunt, Anna became intolerant toward religious artifacts, was sexually vile, and couldn't set foot in a church. A successful attempt at an exorcism was made, but the demonic possession was back as her folks begged Satan for it. Wow, that's weird. Admitted in a convent, she hissed, threw away blessed food, levitated, spoke foreign languages, and could cling onto walls. She deformed in appearance, and after 23 days and 3 exhaustive exorcisms, she was cured of evil possession. Huh. I wonder how many times any of these people were actually schizophrenic, and then instead of being properly medicated or diagnosed, they were subjected to something like this. I guess I could find out doing research. I have to do, but it'd be exhaustive. So perhaps like November, I can dive into that because October is planned out, man. It is planned out. All right, let me check the chat. Hey, Black Eyed Kid. Just popped in. Gotta go get my kids shower, get ready for bed. Okay. Hello. Yeah. Okay. Are you having a hard time, honey? Sitting still? I thought I was the one that got distracted easily. Okay, this one is Gottliebenitis. Brought up in a superstitious household, Gottliebenitis grew up to be religious. In 1842, when she was 28 years old, her house blared of violent noises and people saw furniture colliding. Unexplained scrapes and labeled the house as haunted. She affirmed that a woman's spirit holding a baby visited during nights and endured blackouts and trances that would make her forget intense blasphemy and fits. It has been documented that her conversations were mediated by a supernatural being. With time, about 100 spirits overtook her, claiming they were the victims of demonic possessions as well, trying to escape evil. Wow. I wonder, if there's records of that, how hard is it to get records that actually state these things? So I'll be curious to see. Hey, evil satyr. Behold, for your evil servant has arrived. The creeper. The Catholic Church tries to vet that kind of thing before exorcisms are allowed. Yeah, I know. There, you have to see a psychiatrist and a therapist and make sure that everything else has to be ruled out. But that's not how it's always been. And I just wonder how many of these people from long ago just innocently had a psychological disorder that was mistreated. And that's what they claimed when you watch The Exorcism of Emily Rose. So I wonder if that too, I believe that too was a claim that Annalise had a psychological condition that wasn't being treated properly with medication and that her parents were starving her to death, was the court's claim. So what kind of movie is Mom and Dad? Well, it's not a pretty one. It's a dark comedy too. I tend to gravitate towards the dark comedies, but I did do a review on it, so it should be, yeah, it's good. All right, let's go back to this list. This is number 8, supposed to be 11 of them. Michael Taylor. A man of religion, Michael began to act out. Indulged in obscenity and profanity after his wife accused him of having an affair in 1974. Oh, let me guess. Shocker. You had an affair and then said Satan made you do it? Okay. After acceleration of this immoral behavior, he consulted the clergy and a 24-hour-long exorcism was performed that discharged 40 demons from his body. However, what remains freakish here is that the priests warned him of a dormant demon of murder still finding refuge inside him. Upon reaching home, He barbarically murdered his wife and dog. Wonderful.
Demonic about him or his glasses?
Yeah, he's got creeper glasses. Anyway, the son of Sam. So the serial killer made the New York terror-stricken in 1976 by name of the son of Sam, or the 44 caliber killer. Reports confirm that 6 people died and 7 got wounded in the summer of Sam. After he was taken into custody, he confessed all his crimes and asserted that a demon residing in his neighbor's dog ordered the killings. Incarcerated with 6 life sentences, he admitted to being part of a satanic cult and perpetrating the murders as a ritual offering. Okay, I want to go back and do the timeline, but some of you know how I feel about the coincidence. He was the summer after the Zodiac's last kill, was he not? If you go back and look at the timeline. Yeah. And they can say all they want, but they have no genetic evidence linking anyone to being the Zodiac killer. There's so many. I'm not going to get into that now, but yeah, there's no actual person. I just wondered if they cross-referenced any of the evidence with him, because they both wrote cryptograms to the police, and that's too much of a coincidence for me that they wouldn't cross-examine any genetic evidence to just rule them out.
The weirdest way of any of them by a parking ticket.
Yeah, parking ticket, but they say that's how most people have it. So the Smurls family. This family's traumatic experience is dated in 1974 when the house started emitting nasty odors. Their dog got smacked across the room, children were shoved down the stairs, and members got attacked physically and sexually. Paranormal investigators concluded that the house harbored a potential spiteful spirit as the exorcisms failed time and time again. Eventually, consistent prayers and rituals were able to diminish the power of the demonic entity. I'm very tongue-twisted. The Amons family. We were just talking about the demon house. That's what this one is. It's leveled now, but the frightening ordeal of this family with paranormal forces began in 2014 when clouds of flies accumulated near their house, walls emanated creepy noises, and wet footprints appeared on floors. The mother believes spirits were preying on her 3 children as she reported her son of walking up walls backwards and across the ceiling. Another one smacked across the room, and her daughter levitating while being unconscious. The kids apparently spoke in grave tones, giggled evilly, rolled back eyes in their heads. Upon investigation, authorities got convinced of a demonic presence. The family had to move after the exorcism, as 200 demons still lurked in the area. Now, if you guys watched The Demon House, which is on Netflix, where Zach Bagans was doing like a investigation in it, and he had someone had lived in there before the Amons and said they heard things. And it was a girl who lived there with her mom when she was younger, and she came back with her 3 kids, and one of the 3 kids ended up trying to kill herself a couple days after they had visited the house. So, I don't know. I saw this really good movie about the single father that made a life trying to prove paranormal stuff fake, and later in the movie he got possessed. He ended up killing himself. Was that a true story? Oh my God. I want to say that they did cross-reference Sam with the Zodiac, but the record of Berkowitz on the East absolved him of any suspicions for the Zodiac killers. See, that's the thing, though. You could have easily been killing for decades in California and trotted your ass across the country and started killing in New York. Not that hard. There's a nice span of no killing between the two. I'm just saying, it's worth a little timeline fun. The name of the movie was The Demon House. Zach Gagan's got slapped permanently cross-eyed. Yeah, he has to actually wear glasses now because he got something that's like causes you to have multiple vision in each eye, kind of like a kaleidoscope effect. And he can actually he might permanently go blind from it. Is that caused by the house? I don't know. Did they rule out the fact that there could have been a carbon monoxide leak in the house? Did they rule out everything with the house prior to this? Was there extreme mold? I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying, did they rule out everything? beforehand, just in case. I mean, personally, I would feel more secure in any diagnosis or any hard evidence if you rule out everything. So yeah. Okay. Let's see. I got a couple more of these here. This is mysterious and frightening real cases of demonic possession. This could be a list of the same damn people. I started scanning it. George Lukens. Yep, that's one of the ones. I already looked at that one. I'm just going to scan it really quickly while we're on here. Got libenditis. Yep. They've got more information on them, though. Like, let's see. Like Gottlieben. I think it's harder to, just because, they burned people at the stake in the 1800s for having any kind of like alternative medicine even. So it's kind of hard to take anything that they say seriously, especially if it's not fully documented. That one's 1882. I was seeing if there was any more details in something that we might want to dive into here. Well, this one, the one with Julia that we just read, it's a lot more detailed here, so I'm just going to go into it. Julia, the more recent case of demonic possession occurring in 2008 and was reported in 2012 by board-certified psychiatrist and associate professor. We already talked about him. The strange story revolves around a woman only known as Julia, who originally came forth begging her church to help her with what she claimed was a spiritual possession, and the church went to ask for help from the psychiatric community. While investigating Julia, Gallagher became convinced that there was more going on than mere mental illness or outright fraud. During their conversations, Julia would suddenly respond in voices far different from her own and say things not in character for her, such as obscene language and hateful rants and threats, and show extreme repulsion to religious items, which seemed to have disturbed the psychiatrist a great deal. Gallagher would later say of these occurrences, periodically in our presence, Julia would go into a trance state of a recurring nature. Mentally troubled individuals often dissociate, but Julia's trances were accompanied by an unusual phenomenon. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, out of her mouth would come various threats, taunts, and scatological language. Phrases like, "Leave her alone, you idiot. She's ours. Leave, you imbecile priest," or just leave. The tone of this voice differed markedly from Julia's own, and it varied, sometimes sounding guttural and vaguely masculine, at other points high-pitched. Most of her comments during these trances, or at the subsequent exorcisms, displayed a marked contempt for anything religious or sacred. In addition to this is still the word of the, or that was the word of the psychiatrist. In addition to this, these strange voices allegedly would even intrude on phone conversations the psychiatrist was having with colleagues, defying all rational reason. Okay, that's chilling. Because if he's not even on the phone with her and these voices are popping into the phone, that's scary to me. That's something that's going right into an unexplainable realm. Unless you have phone operators that are screwing with people. Now that's funny. But during the actual exorcism performed on Julia, the room purportedly became unbearably hot, and the normally scientific and rational Gallagher was also startled to personally witness items fly off shelves, and Julia actually levitating. Julia also demonstrated personal knowledge of people in her vicinity and spoken languages other than her own, such as Spanish and Latin. Holy water was said to affect her in violent ways, but normal water did not, even when there was no way for her to know which was which. After every one of these episodes, Julia would wake from her trance with no recollection of what had just transpired, which fascinated the psychiatrist. She was eventually cleared of her seemingly demonic presence, but her account is a rare case of a professional scientist being convinced that the events were real. Well, I mean, if you've tried all other logical points and they're not panning anything out, I mean, logic would lead you to follow the trail. Phone calls from hell. Yikes, yeah. I actually did a story on that a couple years ago, I think. Yeah. I have to go back. I've done so many now that I think I'm losing track of what I've done. I might have to go re-record some of my old ones. Oh, Zach Bacon's always trying to fight a ghost. The one time it nutted up, he got the business. Oh my God, that's funny. Oh my God. That was worded beautifully, Creeper. This... No kidding. All right, you want me to show myself? Now you can't see. Careful what you wish for. Okay, so this says when exorcists need help, they call him. We'll go to that in a minute after we go to real exorcisms. So this is supposed to be 9 real exorcism stories. Didn't load properly though. Hold on. I have to reload the story so I can check the chat, but that was pretty funny. Creeper wins comment of the evening. But the night is young. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. You get the crown. I don't know how to make anyone like admin or like give them a crown. That's funny. Oh, yeah. All right, let me go back to this. 9 real exorcism stories that will disturb you. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. There's supposedly like a scientist that is like the middle of the road scientist, where like religion and science will refer to him when they can't figure something out, I guess. That's the gist I got from the article, but I didn't read the whole article yet. I don't know why this isn't loading, but it's not loading. Wait for it. I even made sure I like restarted the computer before we started this so we wouldn't have any issues. No issues with it. The page just isn't responding. I'm not really sure why. This computer needs to be taken out into a field office space style. Yeah. Don't give up on me now, computer, in the middle of a live stream. It would do that too. There's a Twilight Zone I just saw where a widow kept getting phone calls late at night in her home, only to soon find they were coming from the grave. Ooh. I forget about the Twilight Zone, and now we have like, what is that channel? It plays like all the old shows. There's a couple of them, but I see it on there. I see the, Twilight Zone on ... time, and I'm like, oh, I should watch it. I used to watch it when I was a kid. It'd be on like in the summertime, reruns of it. And it used to scare the shit out of me, and I always forget about it. That people that create new horror really could take note from that, because they really just, they go all out, because it's psychological horror to the max. On the Weight of a Soul's Test, or Mother Teresa's Possession. Ooh, that's a good one. The weight of a soul is variable, and that's going into, I don't put the pressure of my opinion on anyone else. You have to make up your mind for yourself, and I think that might be tumbling into territory that's not mine to. I can still look into it. But Mother Teresa's Possession, that's an interesting topic indeed. Yeah. Get in the zone. Twilight Zone. That's what someone just typed. That's funny. They should have a commercial like that. Wow. Actually, it's on a bunch of channels. We don't even get sci-fi. Our cable carrier stopped carrying sci-fi. How janked up is that? Like, I'm just going to take this and go to like a new tab and see if it will open up in that one. Because I want to go to the science one before I read that one. Because that won't make any sense. Okay, here we go. And of course, the first one is Annalise. So since I've skipped over her, Annalise, perhaps the most terrifying exorcism cases in history. We were talking about that right from the get-go, right out of the gate. inspired the film The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I don't want anything coming back to me. All right. Michelle, a young German woman, Michelle, had struggled from an early age with mental illness, diagnosed with epileptic psychosis. She also experienced depression and visual and auditory hallucinations for which she was hospitalized. With time, her symptoms intensified, growing to include an aversion toward religious iconography. Both she and her Catholic family attributed her condition to demonic possession, and beginning at 22, she underwent an intense 10 months of Catholic exorcism rites. Now, 10 months? 10 months? Right there should tell you something else is going on. 10 months? Nearly 70 exorcisms were performed in secrecy under the order of the church. In July of 1976, Michelle passed away. An autopsy declared her death was the result of emaciation, malnutrition, and starvation at the hands of her priests and her family, who had, during the exorcisms, discontinued consultations with doctors. The family and see, I don't know why they were allowed to. That's severe abuse, no matter how you look at it. 10 months. There's just no one's going to be able to argue with me. Oh yeah, she was totally possessed. What it seems like is she was the victim of people who were possessed, and they just drove her down to the ground. I don't know. I don't know. The family and priests involved were investigated, charged with negligent homicide, and found guilty of manslaughter, serving 6 months in jail and 3 years probation. I'm looking down this list to see if there's anyone new here. There's 6. I thought there was supposed to be 9. There's only 4 there. Does it go on to a new page or something? Oh, there's... Going down to see if there's anyone new on this one. Julia's on this list too. The pair and family. If you don't know, they inspired The Conjuring. That's what... oh, and it says it right here too. Adapted for the big screen into this hugely successful Hollywood horror hit, The Conjuring. This possession is the epitome of a real-life horror story. That movie did scare the shit out of me. Soon after, the pair and family moved to another dream house. In a quaint Rhode Island neighborhood in 1970, the haunting began. The large family immediately began to experience odd and terrifying happenings, from some things as small as odd sounds to those as terrifying as family members being pulled from their beds. On a number of occasions, the ghost of a woman who hanged herself on the property appeared. Now, in the movie, they say it was a witch who was hanged or hanged herself, and that's what possessed the property. So I wonder if that's true or not. I have to look into it and see. She particularly abhorred the parent matriarch, harassing and eventually possessing her. The paranormal investigative duo Ed and Lorraine Warren were brought in, and after evaluating the parents' situation, declared that there had been quite a few insidious things that occurred in the home and around the property that cast a dark cloud over the entire place. Attempts to exorcise the malevolent spirit from the home failed, and the family endured its torment until 1980, when they fled to Georgia. That's weird, because I thought they still lived in the house. I don't know. It's frustrating to me when Hollywood exacerbates a situation just to make it more interesting, so most people don't ever find out or know the facts, because you have to do quite a bit of research to find out. Yeah. This next part is about, this says when exorcists need help, they call him. So a small group of nuns and priests met the woman in the chapel of a house one June evening. Though it was warm outside, a palpable chill settled over the room. As the priests began to pray, the woman slipped into a trance and then snapped to life. She spoke in multiple voices. One was deep, guttural, and masculine. Another was high-pitched. A third spouted only Latin. When someone secretly sprinkled ordinary water on her, she didn't react. But when holy water was used, she screamed in pain. "Leave her alone, you fucking priests," The guttural voice shouted, "Stop, you whores! You'll be sorry!" You've probably seen this before. A soul corrupted by Satan, a priest waving a crucifix at a snarling woman. Movies and books have mimicked exorcisms so often they become cliches. But this was an actual exorcism and included a character not normally seen in traditional drive-out, the devil's script. Dr. Richard Gallagher is an Ivy League educated board-certified psychiatrist who teaches at Columbia University and New York Medical College. He was part of the team that tried to help the woman. Fighting, I believe that's the Julia case, but we'll see. Fighting Satan's minions wasn't part of Gallagher's career plan while he was a student. While he was studying medicine at Yale, he knew about biblical accounts of demonic possession but thought they were an ancient culture's attempt to grapple with mental disorders like epilepsy. He proudly calls himself a man of science. Yet today, Gallagher has become something else. The go-to guy for a sprawling network of exorcists in the United States. He says demonic possession is real. He's seen the evidence. Victims suddenly speaking perfect Latin, sacred objects flying off shelves, people displaying hidden knowledge or secrets about people that they could not have possibly have known. There was one woman who was 90 pounds soaking wet, who threw a Lutheran deacon about 200 pounds across the room, he says. That's not psychiatry. That's beyond psychiatry. That's beyond physics, quite frankly. Gallagher calls himself a consultant on demonic possessions. For the past 25 years, he has helped clergy distinguish between mental illness and what he calls the real thing. He estimates that he's seen more cases of possession than any other physician in the world. Whenever I need help, I call on him, says Reverend Gary Thomas, one of the most famous exorcists in the United States. The movie The Rite was based on Thomas's work. He's so respected in the field, Thomas says. He's not like most therapists who are either atheists or agnostics. Gallagher is a big man, 6'5", who once played Sempiro basketball in Europe. He has a gruff, no-nonsense demeanor. When he talks about possession, it sounds as if he's describing the growth of algae. His tone is dry, clinical, matter-of-fact. Possession, he says, is rare, but real. I spend more time convincing people that they're not possessed than they are. He wrote in an essay for the Washington Post. Some critics, though, say Gallagher has become possessed by his own delusions. They say all he's witnessed are cheap parlor tricks by people who might need therapy, but certainly not exorcisms. And, they argue, there's no empirical evidence that proves possession is real. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know any person of science that's going to walk around talking about supernatural events being real unless they've witnessed them themselves, because men of science don't believe in crap like that unless it's been proven to them. Unless they've seen physical, they're more of a have to see it, have to touch it, have to have evidence, irrefutable evidence of it to discuss it further, because that's not logical. That's a man of science's point of view. That's why science and religion doesn't normally go hand in hand, because if you want to talk about spirituality, you can't talk about it with a man of science. Oh, you can't prove any of that stuff, you know? That's why it seems more valid when it's coming from this person. So, still one of the biggest mysteries about Gallagher's work isn't what he's seen, it's how he's evolved. He does a man of science get pulled into the world of demonic possession? Oh, how does? Short answer, he met a queen of Satan. Okay. A queen of Satan? Now, I haven't seen Hereditary yet. I really want to see Hereditary. I think it's really going to mess with my mind. So, let's see. I have performed an exorcism and it was freaky as fuck. This was on a woman I had never met before, and yes, she knew things she had no way of knowing. The real possessions always display the most extreme vulgar profanity as well. You know what's funny though is they talk about it's like a crack, like I said before. It starts as a crack. Something that's out of character, something that's different, and then it grows and like algae. It grows just like, anything that's not good. It starts as something small and yeah. So I don't know. Is your head bleeding? Okay. My husband hurts his head a lot. So not right now at work. So he's rubbing his scalp to see if there's anything weird there. Okay. A creepy encounter with evil. She was a middle-aged woman who wore flowing dark clothes and black eyeshadow. She would be charming and engaging. She was also part of a satanic cult. Now, you know what? I like to wear black and black eyeshadow. I'm not part of a satanic cult. I don't know why they have to add that in there.
Black socks.
Yes. You like to wear black socks no matter what shoes you're wearing. Yes. Let's talk about that on the live stream. Let's let everyone know that. Oh my God. She called herself the queen of the cult, but Gallagher would refer to her as Julia, the pseudonym he gave her. The woman had approached her local priest, convinced she was being attacked by a demon. Isn't that what you're looking for in a satanic cult? Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that the goal? I'm confused. Maybe she didn't understand what she was doing. Anyway, most likely didn't understand what she was doing. Anyway, the priest referred her to an exorcist who reached out to Gallagher for a mental health evaluation. Why, though, would a devil worshiper want to be free of the devil? She was conflicted, Gallagher says. There was a part of her that wanted to be relieved of the possession. She ended up relieving Gallagher of his doubts. It was one of the first cases he took, and it changed him. Gallagher helped assemble an exorcism team that met Julia in the chapel of a house. Objects would fly off shelves around her. She somehow knew personal details about Gallagher's life, how his mother had died of ovarian cancer, the fact that 2 cats in his house went berserk fighting each other the night before one of her sessions. Julia found a way to reach him even when she wasn't with him, he says. He was talking on the phone with Julia's priest one night when both men heard one of the demonic voices that came from Julia during her trances, even though she was nowhere near a phone and thousands of miles away. He said he was never afraid. It's creepy, he says, but I believe I'm on the winning side. How a scientist believes in demon. Okay, is this boring or should I keep going? Because I feel like people are falling asleep. I'm going to wait for a response here. I'm going to look for something else to read, as I think everyone's going to get too tired of this. It's going to become too boring. Not that possession is boring, but this article goes on and on and on about this guy. And I don't know how long you can keep talking about it. You know what I mean? To where it becomes like, okay, enough's enough. Let me see here. Go back to that. Sometimes some of the articles lead to other articles like that, so you never know. Gotta kind of just go with the flow. Is that a pen, honey? Where'd you get a pen from? Oh my goodness. There's like a picture of a 64,000-year-old painting. Ooh. I am looking for something else to read besides this because, oh. The Mysterious Exorcism of Martha Brosier. Has anyone heard of that? The Mysterious Demon House of Indiana. I've just found a bunch of these. A Scary Demonic Possession in South Africa. I think we just read that one. Strange but not Dynamic Adventures of a Prolific Exorcist. Woman dumps exorcist boyfriend after 7-foot ghost follows him home. Director of The Exorcist says psychiatrists can't explain real exorcism. Huh? Exorcism sought after mass possession strikes Colombian school. I think that's what someone was talking about in the chat. Law enforcement encounters with demonic forces. Okay, we're definitely going into that. Yes, so we're going to skip over this long article. Oh my God. There's an article that says computer problems. It could be possessed by a demon. Trust me. I have tried to bless this computer, and that is not the problem. Talk about being full of yourself. What do you mean? Yep. Cults can come from different avenues, Brian. Exactly. Hey, Chris. We're diving deep down the rabbit hole of demonic possession, so welcome to the show. The Mysterious Demon House of Indiana. Anybody raise your hand if you heard of this one? Hold on, I need a sip of tea here. Of actual tea, not like, tea is gossip now, in case, that's the lingo, honey. Okay. All right. Anyway, demonic possession has been around for centuries, and the idea that we can become vehicles for devilish, sinister voices from beyond us wanted and frighten humankind since time unremembered. Yet it is possible for a whole house to become a portal for such forces to enter our world? And can a whole family be invaded by these evil entities? Does she need to go outside and is trapped in here by the cat? Okay. In one recent case, a family in their home was claimed to have been infiltrated by demons or even the devil himself. And the Demon House of Indiana has gone on to, oh no, I got sucked into it. That's the very house we were just talking about. They had a totally different house in the picture, and I didn't even put the two together. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, everyone. I flaked. That's okay, I got other ones. Okay. The Mysterious Exorcism of Martha Brosier. I'm pretty sure we haven't talked about that. Let's see. If we have, I'll stop in the middle of it, but I'm pretty sure we haven't. The idea of demonic possession has been around for a while. I just took a bite of a cookie, realizing I have a microphone right next to my mouth. You don't know how many times I'm in here reading to myself, and it's like I'll reread something before I record it, and then I'll take a bite of something and be like, oh yeah, I can't do that. Or certain things you eat will really mess up your throat, or drink. Like you can't have like anything like chocolatey or anyway. The thought that we can be invaded, even taken over by mysterious voices. I keep saying voices instead of forces. Beyond our understanding is a powerful one that seems lodged in our psyche. There has been much debate as to the veracity and the reality of these possessions, discussions as to whether they represent true encounters with the supernatural or if they are merely the ramblings and tantrums of troubled souls. One exorcism in particular has become notable not only for its bizarreness, but also how it shows the line between fantasy and reality upon which this phenomenon rests. So this goes back to the 16th century. There was still much superstition in the world, and witches and demons were considered very real, insidious threats that hung over humankind. Into this world of black magic, and the devil was born a French woman by the name of Martha Brosier, also often called Marthe Brosier. For her first 20 years, there was not much remarkable about her, although she was considered to be a bit of an eccentric girl that her neighbors mostly avoided. This would change, however, when Martha was 20, when one day the normally rather quiet girl bellowed forth with what witnesses described as the howl and coarse, fierce voice of a demon. Considering that this was 1576, there was immediate suspicion that some sort of witchcraft was involved, and they would find their scapegoat with Martha's neighbor, Anne Chevreau, who was accused of casting a dark spell on the girl and was subsequently thrown in jail on suspicion of witchcraft. Anybody heard of this? I'm going to check the chat and see. Okay. However, this was by far the end of Martha's spooky ordeal, and she would increasingly show signs that something was very wrong with her. Besides speaking in that low, violent voice, she also began displaying outbursts in which she would writhe, scream, contort her face and body into seemingly inhuman positions, roll her eyes back in her head, pant, groan, and growl like an animal. She would also allegedly stick out her tongue farther than any normal human, endure pinpricks without any reaction or apparent pain. Pinpricks, I mean, anyone that sews can do that. Speak with her mouth still shut, often in languages she didn't know, such as English and Greek, and display incredible feats of strength during these bizarre episodes. Most ominously, she was purportedly able to leap across the room while lying on her back, and witnesses claim that she would sometimes apparently be dragged across her bed or the floor by unseen hands. Well, that's kind of crazy. Word got out about Martha, and there were many rumors that she was possessed by a demon or even the devil himself. Yet, oddly, rather than being frightened, her family actually took Martha on a sort of traveling tour. They would go from village to village to show the possessed woman, and Martha would dutifully get overtaken by the demon, convulsing, roaring, and doing all of her possessed episodes in front of throngs of macabre curiosity seekers. Considering that many of the symptoms of these outbursts, such as speaking with the mouth shut, the elongated tongue, intense contortions, and the superhuman leaping while laying down, seemed genuinely beyond human ability, and therefore supernatural, she was widely believed to be the real deal, and the crowds that came to see this grim display grew even larger. Before long, she had gained quite a bit of notoriety, and she had become a minor celebrity in France. These freakish displays and rumors made it all the way to King Henry IV, who ordered an exorcism carried out on the tormented girl. Martha was then brought to the Abbey of Saint Genesu, where the Bishop of Paris was waiting for her, along with the king's personal physician, Michel Marescot, who was quite skeptical of the whole thing from the beginning. For Marescot, this was a sort of experiment of sorts, a chance for him to see if there was really any reality at all to the phenomenon of demonic possession. And in this sense, this would be the first exorcism ever to be studied in quite this way. The results will remain controversial as much as discussed right up to the present. In order to test out his suspicions, the physician had secretly swapped a piece of the true cross and a piece of wood that will be used to keep Martha from swallowing her tongue if she had one of her violent episodes. When Martha was brought into the abbey and confronted by the bishop, she perhaps predictably almost immediately went into one of her violent tantrums. She shook and contorted and spewed forth all manner of vile and profane things at the priests in French and English and Greek, in an ominous male voice that was not hers and was barely able to be restrained. The supposed piece of the true cross shoved into her mouth. When she calmed down, a piece of what they thought was the true cross was put near her. She recoiled in terror and apparent pain, cringing, crying, and writhing like an animal. To the bishop, this was more than enough proof that she was indeed possessed, but the skeptical Marescot was not as convinced, as the real piece of the cross was in her mouth, where it had no effect, and she had recoiled from just an ordinary piece of wood. God, it goes on and on. Marescot told the bishop what he did, and suggested that she was not possessed, but mentally troubled. To him, this was proof there was nothing wrong, but the bishop was absolutely convinced that she was inhabiting a demon, and even went as far as to accuse the physician of blasphemy for even suggesting otherwise. Because of this, although Marescot was pretty sure that Martha was either a sham or insane, He had failed to convince the church of this, and so the experiment at this stage was a bit of a failure. Despite the dismissive attitude of the priests and Bishop of Paris, Mayor Scott nevertheless did have allies in his convictions within the church, even though he didn't know it yet. The Archbishop of Lyon, Charles Morrow, believed that the physician had been onto something, and he decided to continue the experiment himself, taking it even further yet. Morrow came up with a way to test his suspicions by wrapping up a key in red silk and telling Martha it was a piece of the true cross. And he also wanted to swap the holy water for normal water to see what would happen. To top it off, he would recite lines from Virgil's Aeneid in Latin, which should be meaningless to a demon and had nothing to do with exorcism rites, but which a regular person might mistake for a powerful scripture. The whole exorcism would essentially be fake. They really could have wrapped this up and surmised this whole thing. Oh my god. Let's see if we can shorten this up here. Let's see. She was brought before Morrow. She went into her violent seizure. She was given holy water to drink, unbeknownst to her, which she drank without incident. Yet, when confronted with regular water, okay, this is just... Can we just skip to the end? Yeah, nothing here. All right, let's go to the bizarre law enforcement stuff because this is too boring. Too boring to take. My cousin is mentally ill and thinks she's a psychic. She goes off her meds because she thinks it improves her psychic abilities. She claimed to fight Satan to rid her son of his heroin addiction. Because that's the devil's fault. Needless to say, it didn't work, so the door swings both ways on the insanity tip. Oh, yeah. Hello, Vinny Rad 82, if that's how you say that. Do you think you may be doing these live streams during the week? Nope. 8 p.m. all month long on Tuesday. Taco Tuesdays. Taco Tuesdays. That's Taco Tuesdays because I've got something planned for each day of the month at 8 p.m. It's the easiest way to do that, just to try to keep it at the same time every day so everybody knows when something comes out. Yeah. Keep missing them because I noticed you often do them on weekend evening. I never do them on the weekends. I have done one on a weekend evening, but they're always they usually were on weekday mornings for a long time. So yeah. So they're just gonna be during the week evening. Seems to be the highest amount of people. Silver Bullet 836. Hello. Taco Tuesday. Finally made it. Missed the last few. Well, we'll be here again next Tuesday at 8 p.m. We are diving into bizarre law enforcement encounters with demonic forces. This is a new article. New. It's 2018, so April 2nd. So let's see. I don't like when they're not numbered, so you don't know which one is which. Like they just kind of one blends into another. There's Latoya Amons. She's really getting her 5 minutes of fame. It was weird because if you watch The Demon House, it's kind of hard to tell if the Amons were being genuine or just trying to collect that check for that movie that was coming out. I don't know what that movie's going to be titled. I think someone said it in the last stream or the stream before. There's a movie that's supposed to be coming out, and so they didn't want to talk. I don't know. She's referred to a lot. They're referred to a lot, so I don't know. I would think that would become quite annoying. I'd just say, if you want my story, here's my story. I'm going to sell my story, and then I don't want to talk about it ever again. Like, if that genuinely happened to your family, I'd say, here's my accounts. You can use it. You pay them for it, and then you don't make them talk about it again. I wouldn't want to talk about it again if those things genuinely happen to your children. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Let's see here. One story is from a police officer on a Reddit thread about police experiences with the paranormal, who claimed to have picked up a strange woman who he suspected may have been actually possessed. He claims that while out on patrol, God damn it, he happened across a woman who was just standing in the middle of the road in a trance or dazed. The concerned officer slowed down and asked her if she needed help, but the woman was completely unresponsive. At first, anyway, but things would take a sharp turn into the weird. The witness tells of what happened next. During my whole time with her, she never uttered a word. I was left in a weird situation. She had done nothing, clearly needed help, but medically nothing seemed wrong. As I am pondering what on earth I should do, the girl suddenly starts spinning. Now, spinning is not illegal, and I'm not starting to think this girl is one of those protesters that wind up police. I don't know what they're talking about. I've dealt with troll station before. What? I really wish they'd edit these. So I think crack on. Spin to your heart's content. So literally, I'm going to guess that she's just spinning in the road like a 5-year-old. Okay, yes. Then she loses her balance and falls, whacking her head on the side of the police car. Great. So I call an ambulance, but she seems fine. Still not talking, but she's looking up at the sky. It's a nice day. So fine, enjoy the sun. I do some writing and look back at her now bright red face and watering eyes and realize she's trying to damage her retinas by forcing herself to look directly at the sun. That's a new one on me. So now I'm holding a book or something above her to shield her eyes. An ambulance arrives and we get to the hospital and she has now forgotten how to walk. Now I'm 99% sure she's a wind-up merchant. What the hell does that mean? But I get her a wheelchair. In the wheelchair, she strikes up a I'm a little teapot pose and keeps this up for the next hour. Zero movement, just frozen with her arms out. Although it would later be pointed out in replies to the post that she might have just been suffering some severe mental problems, catatonic schizophrenia, or just been on some potent drugs, the witness strongly believed she may have been possessed by a demon or spirit. To illustrate his point, he claimed that a week later he called the hospital to check up on her and was informed that she was still in a bizarre frozen state. Maybe she needs an exorcist rather than a psychiatrist or a doctor. Okay. Possessed people have been allegedly encountered by law enforcement in various other cases as well. There's an account posted on a cult museum website. A witness claims to have been a 911 operator when she got the strangest call of her life. Around 3 a.m. on a chilly winter morning, a call came in from a man who seemed to be in utter hysterics, blathering away nonsensically about his sister being possessed by a demon that tried to cut his heart out. The screaming, inconsolable man said that he was at the moment locked in his bathroom, but that the demon was still out there trying to get in. The operator said of the call, I asked him a series of questions, trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Every time he tried to answer, I heard what sounded like scratching and banging on the bathroom door. He whispered, There's a demon in my sister's body. It's been battling me for days. It got free from the chains. I swear that what I heard next chilled me to the core. This unearthly voice began taunting my caller through the door. It didn't sound like a 20-something woman. It was low, guttural, like she had gargled razor blades before speaking. Oh, God. She continued to growl and speak in strange-sounding language until police arrived. She let out a terrifying scream when the officers broke in. Then, dead end. The witness claimed that her and her supervisor, who had also heard the call, were speechless and scared. When she contacted the officer who had responded to the call, he painted an eerie and frightening picture of what he had encountered. She said, Apparently when my caller said his sister got out of her chains, he wasn't joking around. She still had a chain tied to a bloody handcuff When the officers came in, her whole body was covered in self-inflicted scratches. Her one eye had popped a blood vessel and was bright red. Most of what she was wearing was also shredded, and her skin looked like she had been drained of her blood. She was taken in for a psych consult, and as you probably guessed, stayed there for a long time. The brother was okay, except for deep gouges in his chest. His sister literally tried to dig out his heart. There was some talk about arresting the brother, but nothing ever came of it. I can still vividly remember that voice, and it makes my blood run cold. Ooh, are we liking these, everyone? Let me catch up to the chat here. Finally made it. I missed the last one. Hey, Hexwando. Okay, Celtic Girl is way, way, way back in the stream. Must have like started over or something. Okay, good. Yeah, I like these better. I wish I would have found these from the beginning. Hey, Trixie, my Trixie girl. Okay. The Ammon's house. I'm going to skip over that because we've talked about that relentlessly. I'm hoping there's something else new on that. Here's an officer from the Bronx. Retired. Are you okay? A retired NYPD Sergeant Ralph Sarchi during his 18 years in the police force in the South Bronx precinct. Sarchi spent his spare time looking into paranormal phenomena, specifically demonic occurrences and exorcisms. He would eventually quit his work as a policeman to pursue his full-time as a Catholic demonologist, assisting in exorcisms and lending his expertise on investigations into the supernatural and accompanying such renowned paranormal researchers as Ed and Lorraine Warren on their various weird cases. He says that very real evil is rising in society and that demonic possession is real. He indicates that the signs of demonic possession include unnatural strength, speaking in different languages when you don't already know it. Let's clarify that. Having knowledge of events that one would have no way of knowing. A woman speaking in a man's voice, and people making animalistic sounds, as well as a look in the eyes that is different from a normal murderous criminal. He also believes that the growing evil in society is being literally caused by demons. He warned in an interview in the Blaze magazine, as society pushes God out, no one can deny that's not happening. There's a good portion of society that just cannot stomach Jesus Christ, and when I see that, I have to wonder where that hatred comes from. I'm not a ghost hunter. I'm not a paranormal investigator. I'm a demonologist. I'm a religious demonologist. I approach this from a religious point of view. I'm not looking to entertain you. I'm looking to help you. I'm having a hard time concentrating. Sarchi claims to have witnessed exorcisms, paranormal activity, and possessed people on the streets on more than one occasion, and has written on his experiences with the supernatural called Beware of the Night. His exploits have become so well known that a movie was also made based on Sarchi's career called Deliver Us from Evil. I saw that movie. Didn't we watch the movie together? I don't think you remember it, but it was the guy. It was an officer. You saw it with me. You just don't remember it right now. Anyway, describing what it was like to have an encounter with the possessed, he said in his interview, I've been a cop for a long time. I've dealt with a lot of emotionally disturbed persons, and I've arrested some pretty bad people. And I have never in my life in the street seen anything like that. A murderer's look from a person is nothing like a person who's under possession. Evil isn't trying to steal your property. It's trying to steal your very essence, your soul. In another frightening case outlined in the Ghost Theory website, an article by Xavier Ortega, a police officer in Vallecas, in Madrid, Spain, came across a whole house that seems to have had been under siege by demonic forces. According to the report on November 27th, 1990, police were called by the home of a Maximo and Concepcion Gutierrez, who frantically claimed that their home was being invaded by supernatural forces that came in the form of hulking shadow people. Police Inspector Jose Negri was skeptical, to say the least, but the voice on the phone had displayed very real terror, and so he went out there with a squad of officers to see what was going on. They were apparently about to get more than they bargained for. When they arrived at the condominium where the couple lived, they found Mr. and Mrs. Gutierrez cowering outside of their home out on the street. They claimed it was too dangerous to go inside as the demons were on the rampage. Mrs. Gutierrez was in a panic and told the officers that she had just been physically attacked by one of the shadowy entities, that it had grabbed her and tried to strangle her. The police went in and found everything to be calm and normal, and with no signs of a ruckus, and no evidence that anyone had broken into the home or ransacked it in any way. If anything, the residence was almost too quiet. The police fanned out through the home even as they began to think that this was all a hoax. But as they inspected the master bedroom, the first of many strange occurrences would come when there was a loud bang out on the balcony, followed by what sounded like a large boulder rolling across it. Yet when an officer took a wary peek outside, there was nothing at all, no sign of anything that could have made that noise. The bathroom was also examined, and was inexplicably oh my God. It was colder than the rest of the house. When Negri himself went into the bathroom, he reported feeling a deep chill and sense of dread. The couple would later confirm that this room was indeed a very paranormally active part of the house. The officers in the bedroom went back to the living room to meet up with the others, and as they discussed what they had seen, a large, purportedly... Jesus. The officers in the bedroom went back to the living room to meet up with the others, and as they discussed what they had seen, a large door came flying open and barely missed one of the officers. Suddenly, very alert officers did a full sweep of the living room, but no one could find a sign of how that door could have possibly slammed open. They were now officially spooked, and two of the officers reportedly went back outside, refusing to stay in that forsaken home. The puzzled Negri called in the couple to question them further, and a very bizarre story began to form. The couple explained that they had a teenage daughter named Estefania, who had died several years before under mysterious circumstances, after her and some friends had used a Ouija board at school. A teacher had apparently caught them in the act and had furiously ripped apart the board. See, didn't I say? Don't play with Ouija boards. At that moment, both the kids and the teacher had supposedly seen a wisp of smoke come up out of the broken glass planchette to be inhaled accidentally by Estefania. From that day on, Estefania had allegedly become pale and sickly and began to complain of seeing shadowy figures lurking about the home. That was when everything had started. At the moment in this story, Negri, who had been merely listening, speechless and enthralled, was broken from his concentration by loud bangs and thumps coming from the dead girl's room. The sudden noise jolted all present, and the officers were led to the room by the girl's father. Beyond the closed door, it sounded as if a wild animal was tearing through, and the police drew their firearms, prepared to burst in. Not exactly sure at this moment of what they could expect to encounter in there. When they entered the room, there was no one there to be seen, but a crucifix had been knocked from the wall and a poster shredded as if by an animal's claws. Oddly, a photograph of the girl was found tossed upon the floor and appeared to have been partly burnt, yet with the frame and glass cover still completely intact. Damn. Searching the room, the door to the balcony, which was the only other way in or out, was found to be locked, and there seemed to be no way anyone could have escaped the room without them noticing. There was then a loud thumping noise that seemed to come from the room itself. You could make a movie out of the story, by the way, but the source of which could not be determined. Back in the living room, it turned out to be strange, reddish, slimy substance that appeared on some of the furniture as they had been in the bedroom. This was enough weirdness for the police, and they left soon after with no explanation for what they had witnessed. It was unclear what had happened to this case after this, but it is a rather frightening and ominous account. I don't know, has anybody heard of this before? I'm just curious if anyone's heard of this one before. No, there's only 12 people watching, it says. Feeds off human evil. Hey, Antonio. I'm a mermaid from Mermaid Motel this Halloween. Well, you just don't touch Ouija boards. All right, yeah. I think that was the end of that one, and then it goes on to another one right after that. Another account of a house possibly infested with demons was told on a Reddit thread on a law enforcement and paranormal experiences thread. The account seems to involve a demonic presence in a home, and the witness claims that he and his partner went to answer a 911 call from an elderly lady about a domestic dispute. At this point, it was a fairly routine call, and the officers involved were not expecting anything too out of the ordinary. But this would change when they arrived at the scene. The cops asked her if she was alone. She gave the puzzling answer that she was, making them wonder who the dispute was with. The witness would say, "We say, who are you having a dispute with?" She says, "Oh, just the spirit in one of my rooms." Immediately, me and my partner look at each other and give the old, "Oh, she's crazy. She's old and crazy." One of those, something along that line. As we're talking to her, she's explaining how sometimes a bad spirit comes around. She states that he's in the back room and, of course, the lights don't work. We try to tell her that spirits probably aren't in our house and that we have to go to another 911 call. She insists we check it out. So we do. Now the house, the way she was speaking about other spirits made me believe something was there. When we got to the room, she opened the door. Seeing a ghost wouldn't have shocked me. She did say that it's usually in the corner up on the ceiling. That corner was dark and had the freakiest shadow that was legitimately terrifying. My partner and I shine our flashlights on the whole room, and thankfully nothing was there. We told the lady, "Nope, you're good. Nothing going on here." I said to her, "If you feel there's a spirit there, but not NYPD Blue cannot help you, go to a local church, religious institution of your choosing, and best of luck," and we get the fuck out of there. In addition to possessed houses and demons are lesser defined supernatural phenomena that seem to point to evil spirits and possibly voodoo magic. In this same Reddit thread, a poster claimed to be in the U.S. Coast Guard said he had a very odd experience off the coast of Florida in 2008. They had purportedly been involved in a counter-drug/migrant interdiction, is that the right word there? Patrol, when they came across a ramshackle boat loaded with Dominicans and Haitians illegally headed for Florida. Man, can you imagine being in that tiny of a boat in the ocean? Yikes. After ferrying off the people for detention in a makeshift camp aboard their vessel, the Coast Guard went about tending to them and searching through the items they had seized from the boat. This is where things would get weird. The witness would explain what happened next. So the area that we were in, inspecting the bags and other stuff, was directly under the flight deck, which partially overhanged the fantail. If you Google Reliance class cutter, you can see what I mean. Well, my LTJG, I don't even understand what that means, that was going through this little duffel bag, pulls out what looks to us as a brick of marijuana or cocaine, wrapped nice and tight in some kind of burlap material and cellophane. Upon unwrapping it, We found this shitty old leather-bound book with weird symbols and shit in it, as well as a few weird-looking wooden statues and other weird little trinkets. As soon as we opened the book and started inspecting these stupid-looking wooden statues, we hear this blood-curdling shriek almost directly above us. We dart out from under the overhang and look up on the flight deck to see this older-looking woman absolutely losing her shit, screaming, flailing around, wide-eyed. I thought she was having a seizure, but she was apparently yelling out in Creole something to the effect of the spirit has been disturbed, and that we need to contain it lest death sweep over our ship. Our security guys are having a hell of a time getting this lady to chill, and we can't even pick her up to remove her from the flight deck. The corpsman comes over to evaluate her, and my LTJG and I go back to looking through the shit we found on the boat. We get a final chuckle out of the weird shit from the duffel bag mentioned earlier, closes the book, puts everything back in the bundle it came in, wraps the burlap material back around it. Almost instantly, the wailing and panicked shrieks above us stop. I look up at my LTJG with a look of relief, but as I make eye contact with him, he glances down at his burlap bundle, walks over to one of the stanchions and says, "Fuck this," as he hurls the burlap overboard. According to our corpsman, the woman returned to normal once she calmed down and had no recollection of her manic episode. I'm not really sure what happened that day, but it is certainly one of my top what the fuck moments. Whoa. Yikes. Coincidence? I think not. Yeah, well, I'm about to wrap it up, Element. So we've been on here for an hour and a half now. Let's see. Clee says, I've used a Ouija board in the past and will do it again. However, I've never bought one. When I have a need for one, I make one in a protective circle during a ritual and use it there too. Then when done, it gets burned. Oh no. I'm playing Wick while listening to Duchess so I can play some spooky while I listen to some spooky. I'll have to check that out. Me and my husband are trying to look into getting into something together in our spare time, like maybe a crazy game or I don't know. Because it seems like really, as much as we want to do like urban exploring, all of a sudden people are like buying up all the old properties around here or tearing them down, which good timing on us, right? There is one house. It's probably like, where's that road that Spicer's is on? Yeah, how far away is it? Is it 10 miles? 5 miles. So 5 miles, and there's this house that's completely abandoned, and I looked it up on Google Maps. I can't even find an address for the house. There's no number on we literally have to go to the mailbox and like look at a piece of mail, like an old piece of junk mail that's in the mailbox just to get an address because there's nothing on the mailbox. There's nothing on the house. And then you know how Google will like go around and take pictures of addresses and it'll label it, even if it's not an address? Google didn't go down that road. So you can't even get an address, but this property is massive and this house has like trees growing all over the inside and out of it. And it's kind of creepy that you can't even get an address on it, but yeah, I'm way into art. Like my thumbnails, I take an immense amount of time, too long because I can start out in one thing and completely end up with something else. But yeah, I'm way into art. Too much. I've got too much crap that I bought for crafts and art. Here They Lie is another good one. Here They Lie. I'll write that down. Actually, I have a pen and paper right here, which is unusual. Here They Lie. Don't tell me what it's about. I'll look it up. Hey, Brian. Hey. There's this guy on YouTube, Jazza. Check him out. He's really cool. What does he do? There's all kinds of cool people. Have you guys ever heard of the Craftsman? Oh my god, he is hilarious. I'm gonna see if I can find a link to his channel so you guys can. It's called the Craftman, Seti Craftin, and he literally talks like that. It's hilarious. But he teaches you legit stuff, but he's freaking hilarious in the process. I'm just gonna find it really quickly so I can share it with you guys, because when I find something good, I gotta share it with you guys. Also, I know people always ask me, who's your favorite narrators? You know, one of my OG favorites, I know I always say Unit and Busta. There's a ton of them, but I'm so behind on I'm listening to them. But one of my other favorites is Lazy Masquerade, but he hasn't made a video in a long time, so I don't know if it's Craftsman or if it's like the Craftsman Steady Crafting. You're like having a little kid in here. I can't sit still. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. You don't have to come in here. I'm sorry I made you. You've been totally quiet the whole time, too. My husband's been sitting next to me the whole time. Usually he like interjects or something, but he hasn't said anything. I'm looking for the Craftsman. Steady Crafting. I can't find it. I can't find it. I'm just going to look it up really quickly. It's not even Craftman. It's the Craftman. Craftman. Steady Crafting. That's funny. Yep, there it is. Okay. Funny. He made this puppet that like does all this talking for him. I'm just going to share the link in the chat so you guys can check them out, just because it's funny. Usually I talk about everything that's like dark, and I'll leave it in the comment section too. Oh yeah, Hell Freezer is good too. I forget. Oh, you know another one I like. I can see the darn it. I can see the channel logo in my head. And for a long time they did PCP or not SCP PCP. Sinful Savant. No, not Sinful Savant. That's not the one. I don't know. I'll leave a link in the chat or the comment section when it's all over. A new horror YouTuber who's starting out is Jar19. He's good and a friend of mine. Yeah. Giggles the clown is pretty cool. She's a sweetheart. Oh, I got you. No, SCPs. The channel I'm thinking of did SCPs for a long time, and I'm trying to remember what the hell it's called. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for coming and listening and getting creeped out. I have something for you every single day this month at 8 p.m. It gets a little frustrating because you put a lot of effort into these in October, and I don't know. I don't know if like horror is dying on YouTube or it's just trying to kill me. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, oh, Crypt TV. Yeah, I've heard that too. I don't know. Maybe I just suck. Maybe it's just I'm just not good enough to get the views that I need to get. I don't know what I need to do to step it up, or I need to just like call it quits. I'm not sure what I need to do to get more viewership in. I don't know. Like I constantly question what more can I possibly do? Like how much more can I entertain people? And you know, I've seen a lot of people leave. Oh, I know. October's the month. October's the push. Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to stop there. I'm getting tired and I can feel my caffeine crash coming. I'm like getting crappy. Just need to go not soon. Oh God. Anyways, we're going to wrap it up. I don't know what next Taco Tuesday will be, but every single night, including Taco Tuesdays, will be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, all month long. I already made tomorrow and Thursday's video and Sundays. Friday is going to be a new segment too called Freaky Friday, but there's only going to be 2 of them because Evan the Nerd has 2 more segments of the West Mary experiment, and those will be interspersed not this Friday, but the Friday after, and then 2 Fridays after that. So look forward to that. And I don't want to spoil it, but don't take this month too seriously. I only have a few that will be deeply disturbing, but most of them will be dark comedy because that's what I truly deeply enjoy. Unpleasant dreams. Haha. Okay. Thanks for coming, and I look forward to talking with everybody next Tuesday. Next Taco Tuesday, every night at 8 p.m. this all month long. I love you all. Thanks for joining me, and bye. Bye. Bye.